Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. It's your girl Lori, and I want to talk to you about self-sabotage because I know a lot of you do it. I lived that life. I used to self-sabotage myself left and right long before I became healed or continue on. And I'm not all the way healed. Like, you're never all the way healed. You will continue on that healing journey all of your life. So that's another good thing, just a side note to remember. And that could be part of your self-sabotage as well, is expecting yourself to do everything perfect. And I did a whole podcast on perfectionism. Feel free to go back and listen to it. It's also here on the YouTube, but it's also wherever you get your podcasts. But here's the thing: perfectionism is not real. It does not exist. You are striving for something that is impossible to achieve because there is no golden standard of perfection. What your version of perfect is and my version of perfect might be vastly different. So you're striving for something that does not exist. So part of your self-sabotage is not starting something because you're afraid you're going to fail at it. That goes into perfectionism. When you are in not denial, but kind of denial that failure and mistakes are a beautiful part of your journey, it doesn't mean that you're less than. It doesn't mean that you're some failure. You just failed at something. Okay, didn't work. Just shift the narrative of it. Stop saying you failed at it. Just say, hey, it just didn't work out. Okay, but you learned something from it. So a lot of the one way that you're self-sabotaging is you're not starting. And you're not starting something because you're afraid that if you want to do it, like internally, you're like, oh my God, I want to do this. You have it mapped out, you plan it out, you spend days on end, you get all the stuff that you need, and you're like, okay. And then even if you start it, you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this. But am I doing this right? Because you're overanalyzing. So this goes hand in hand. You're overanalyzing, like, well, what if this doesn't work out? Or what if those things don't happen for me? That's a big way of self-sabotage, because you have to embrace the fact that the unknown, that thing that you fear so much, is where the land of opportunity exists. Will it always work out? No. Will there be bumps and bruises? Yes. Will it sometimes feel really bad? Mm-hmm. Will it sometimes affect other people? Yep. So this doesn't mean all the time, but it doesn't mean that you're just going to grow up and go through your healing and then not fail again. No, you will. It's not a failure. It's just a shift in what works for you and what doesn't work for you. So number one is stop waiting to feel ready and to feel as though you have to be perfect at it. You are self-sabotaging every time you're resisting to start anything. Seriously, like you're literally self-sabotaging this. And it's imperative that you get that, because you try so hard to not come off as not knowing or dumb, what some people call dumb. Everybody starts at zero. Nobody knows how to read when we're born. We're taught that. Okay, some people it takes them longer to read. Some people, it's fine. At the end of the day, there's no race. But everybody starts at zero. Stop looking at people that you feel. Number two, comparison. These go hand in hand. Stop comparing yourself to other people, right? Huge self-sabotage is comparison of others. Look at these people at my age. These people have more. These people have their life together. You don't know, because nobody knows everybody 100% of the times. And I've said this a million times, just because you're wearing matching pajamas on Facebook doesn't mean everybody's got their life in order. Okay. So I just say that to you because it's important that if you're comparing yourself and saying, what's wrong with me? Why am I so far behind? You're self-sabotaging yourself, because now you're saying you're less than, and somehow or another, these people are superior over you. Stop comparing yourself, because 90% of social media is fake. It's a highlight reel. 90% of social media is a highlight reel. Now, you follow my stuff, you're going to see if I'm having a good day or a bad day. It's whatever. Or a bad moment, whatever. But because I don't really care about another person's opinion. You'll find people who put just their highlight reel up, and you think, oh my God, I got to be like these people. That's not a thing. Perfectionism is not real. Waiting to feel ready, not real, because you're always going to not be ready. There's always going to be something that you're just not ready for. And comparing yourself. When you're sitting in comparison, it's problematic. Now, another huge piece, number four, there's 5 of them I'm going to give you. There's actually many more, but we'll do 5 here and we'll do more if you want. And we can always do more on a podcast. If you want that, let me know in the comments. But number 4 is procrastination. Motivation's not real. Motivation's fake. It's BS. Stop seeking it. Motivation is something we tell ourselves if we don't have it, it's our built-in excuse. it doesn't matter. You do it anyway. So when you're procrastinating at something, you are somehow or another like kind of punishing yourself a little bit. It is self-sabotage. Procrastination is one of the top ways people self-sabotage themselves. That's why microgoaling comes into play. Go to episode 37 of my podcast or look at it on here. We go into microgoaling. This is where you got to stop trying to rush the process. Stop trying to get this done, this done, this done, this done, this done, because it's going to be overwhelming to you. If you're going to try to declutter the entire house in a weekend, my God, that's a lot. But if you're like, I'm going to declutter one drawer of my desk, more tolerable, more bite size. Stop taking these big bites and thinking, oh my God, I have to hurry. Stop rushing it. You're racing against what? So you do, like, I'm looking at my desk. I have 3, 6, 7 drawers. Like one is just like kind of like holds my pencils. So technically I could do that in a week. One drawer a week. And you think, well, I could do more than a drawer. Why? Because your brain also works on accomplishments. So when you micro goal something, you're giving yourself like, oh, look at that. I saw it from start to finish. You start to build self-confidence that way. So stop rushing. Okay, because when you're rushing, everything feels overwhelming. The overwhelm turns to procrastination. We as human beings, inherently, we have not really a big problem. Even with depression, you have a little bit of problem doing the things that you like to do, but you're going to have a lot of problem doing things that you don't like to do. And I remember somebody told me this years ago, and it's something that I've adopted. The difference between successful, whatever you deem that as, people and non-successful people, meaning like they just haven't got there yet, is the successful people do the things that they don't want to do first, and they do them always. You don't care how you feel. And I think that's the biggest thing that kind of ties all those in. Those four is stop focusing on your feelings. Your feelings aren't facts. Your thoughts aren't facts. They feel real to you. They're your perceptions, but don't believe what you're hearing. Okay, which goes into number 5. Stop the chatter of other people's voices in your head. That is one of the biggest ways too to self-sabotage yourself. Listening to this chatter, listening to the unhealed trauma of others inflicting their autobiography upon you. In turn, you're sabotaging yourself because you're putting your life into somebody else's hands. You really are. So you're self-sabotaging yourself because you're literally saying, hey, somebody, can you please take power? I want you to have power over me. You're essentially giving them power over you because you are allowing that to happen. So you got to be careful with the self-sabotage. Yes, we can go into self-sabotage in relationships. We can go into self-sabotage with money. Like when I tell you there is an endless amount of kind of like a little bit like drama there, not that many, but there's enough that we could talk about self-sabotage for hours because it's your insecurities. It's your lack of trust of self. It's your fear of failure. It's your, oh, look, I saw on social media, oh my God, why am I not there? It's the fear of your phobias. It's the waiting to feel ready. It's second guessing everything that you do because you can't trust yourself. I mean, again, the list is endless. So when we're talking self-sabotage, you've always got to be your first and major priority. You have to be. You are so much better for every human being around you and the people that you care about when you are in love with yourself, because you're able to protect your peace. You're able to establish boundaries. You're able to give yourself the love and attention that you need for you. In turn, with all of these other people that you give to, you are going to have better relationships because you're going to be able to invest more time, more patience, more attention, right? Because think about this, if you're exhausted, I mean, you're really exhausted and then you're like, oh my God, somebody needs me. And then they're talking and you're just like, oh my God, pay attention because you are drained, you're burned out. But if you're like, good, you're going to be able to pay attention more. So it's never selfish to put yourself as a priority. So stop putting everybody in front of you too. That's another bonus way of your self-sabotage. Be empathetic, be compassionate, be caring, but don't put everybody in front of you. You are the one that will be neglected by yourself. Don't worry about everybody else. It's not about everybody else, but it's 100% about you. So it'd be interesting to know, let me know down here in the comments too, what are some ways that you sabotage yourself? Where do you find yourself sabotaging yourself? You got to own it, right? Because in order to repair and enhance and fix anything about ourselves, we have to be accountable and acknowledging it. knowing that it isn't everybody else. Stop blaming everybody. It's also you. So that's where I want you to start. And then that can start to shift that mentality from self-sabotage to self-growth, self-empowerment.